Hi, we are time travelers from the United States in the year 2020, and I just stumbled across an island run by young boys in the year 1960. I would like to present our observations.
Then, I will compare each character to a leader, member of society, or societal characteristic of that of the early 21st century.
First, I stumbled upon Ralph. Ralph represents control because he is charismatic and demonstrates obvious common sense. Ralph is the one who conceives the meeting place, the fire, and the hunts. He applies Piggy's smartness and intellectualism, and he recognizes the false fears and superstitions as barriers to their survival. He is a diplomat and natural leader. While talking to others, I learned that Ralph's capacity for leadership was evident from the very beginning of their time on the island, as he was the only elected leader of the boys. During the crisis caused by the sight of the dead paratrooper on the mountain that I was able to witness firsthand, Ralph was able to proceed with both sense and caution. I found this very impressive. He works diligently to keep the group's focus and hope for rescue.
He reminded me of George Pataki, as just hours after the 9/11 terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, the governor was walking the streets of Manhattan doing his best to console a city in shock. Moist-eyed and super patriotic, Pataki made himself the point person for redevelopment of the World Trade Center site and the building of the memorial. After the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation gave the Drawing Center, the Soho Museum, a space at the new Ground Zero, he thundered that he wouldn't tolerate anything on that site that denigrates America.
Next up, as I was exploring, I saw Piggy. Piggy struck me as very organized because he recognizes that the conch can be used to establish order in organization and agrees that it should allow anyone to be heard in turn, as using the conch to gather the boys together is the main tool of establishing unity on the island. Piggy recognizes that staying together is going to be important for their survival. When Jack and his hunters split off to form another group, this unity is broken, and shortly after, so is the unifying and ordering power of the conch. Piggy represented intellectualism and organization, such as in city organization in our times.
Piggy represents intellectualism and organization. In the modern U.S., Piggy could have served as a very successful city planner in a metropolis like Washington, D.C. Every modern city contains an amazing array of pathways to carry flows of people, goods, water, energy, and information. Transportation networks are the largest and most visible of these. Ancient cities relied on streets, most of them quite narrow by modern standards, to carry foot traffic and carts. The modern city contains a complex hierarchy of transportation channels, ranging from 10-lane freeways to sidewalks. In the United States, the bulk of trips are carried by the private automobile, with mass transit a distant second. American cities display the low-density sprawl characteristics of auto-centered urban development.
The third societal member I came across was Jack. I was not quite sure why Jack was so greedy, but after the other boys explained his past as a former choir master and head boy at his school, meaning that he arrived on the island having experienced some success in exerting control over others by dominating the choir with his militaristic attitude, it all made sense to me. I personally could see that he was quite eager to make the rules and punish those who would break them, although he consistently breaks them himself when he needs to further his own interests. His main interest is hunting, an endeavor that begins with the desire for meat and builds to the overwhelming urge to master and kill other living creatures, which is quite inhumane if you ask me. Hunting develops the savagery that already ran close to his surface, making him ape-like as he prowls through the jungle. Without rules to stop him, he quickly loses interest in that world of politeness and boundaries that's idealized in modern day society, which is why he feels no compunction to keep the fire going or intend to any of the other responsibilities for the betterment of survival of the group, as he's only looking out for himself.
Jack represents greedy, dishonest people like Bernie Madoff, who set up pyramid schemes to steal money from investors. Madoff used a so-called Ponzi scheme, which lures investors in by guaranteeing unusually high returns. The name originated with Charles Ponzi, who promised 50% returns on investments in only 90 days. To avoid having too many investors reclaim their profits, he encouraged them to stay in the game and earn even more money. The investing strategies used are vague and/or secretive, which schemers claim is to protect their business. Then all they need to do is tell investors how much they are making periodically without actually providing any real returns. He caused the loss of about 50 billion investment dollars, with only 5 billion of that being returned. Bernard Madoff used $5,000 earned from lifeguarding and installing sprinkler systems to found his investment company. Madoff's firm offered reliable returns, and his client list included celebrities like Steven Spielberg. Arrested for running an elaborate Ponzi scheme in December 2008, Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 felony counts in March 2009. That summer, the 71-year-old was sentenced to 150 years in prison.
I ran across Simon, who was one of the most interesting boys on the island, who is known for thinking differently. He's different from the other boys, not only due to his lack of physical strength, which was shown through his fainting, but this was also consistently expressed as he expressed concern for the more vulnerable younger boys. He picks choice fruit for other children from spots they can't reach, which portrays a very saintly or Christ-like image, at least in my opinion. The concept of Simon as a Christ figure is compounded as he is betrayed by his friends and brutally murdered in cold blood, the opposite of what he preaches. He stands up for Piggy and helps him get his glasses back when Jack knocks them off his head, which is another allusion to Simon's visionary bent. In addition, he has a secret place in the jungle where he spends much time alone. Simon's loner tendencies make the other boys think he's odd, but Simon's credibility as a mystic is established when he prophesies to Ralph, "You'll get back when you came from." Simon reaches an abstract understanding of mankind's latent evil nature and unthinking urge to dominate as mankind's essential illness.
Simon represents contrast to the concept of innate human evil. Despite living a savage lifestyle, isolated from society, Simon maintains his goodness throughout his stay on the island. The character of Simon invokes images of many Good Samaritans in the modern day. One particular Good Samaritan I was reminded of was Mother Teresa. As well as Mother Teresa, he also reminded me of He Chao, the Chinese pilot who saved the lives of 439 passengers, who chose to accelerate and fly over the other aircraft, avoiding a head-on crash by just 19 meters.
We hope you guys enjoyed this little blast from the past here in the year 1960 on this island run by boys aged 6 through 12, but we're going to head back to the year 2020 to our day-to-day lives in the United States. Feel free to watch again to hear about another time travel extravaganza.